Now, what's the day in the life of a typical alcoholic from the perspective of a family member? And a large part of this page is really the family perspective, as my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 5 years ago. And we were married for 25 years, and I tell stories. Typical day, for starters, I'd get up, take a shower if it was a work day. Before I went to the shower, I wanted to make sure that my car keys were hidden. I could never leave them like on a nightstand. They always had to be hidden somewhere in my closet, usually in a coat somewhere that she wouldn't find it, or I would have to nail it behind a hat. I used to have hats and nail it behind there and make sure that there's no way that she's going to find it, even if she looked, and she often tried to find them. In other words, if you don't, if you don't hide the car keys, I mean, she would have taken them and immediately gone to a liquor store and purchased alcohol. It's not that, I mean, she got ways around that, but that's a typical scenario. The last thing you wanted to do is to take your car. I mean, there's high probability that she could smash it up or get a DUI, as she did several times. This isn't about judgment. This is just about the experiences that alcoholics and their families go through on a daily basis. And then other typical things that would happen during the day when you're working, you would text your spouse back and forth. And when I would text her occasionally just to check in or tell her how my day is going, if I got a non-response, it was a pretty good indication as to what I was coming home to. Because if there was a non-response, I mean, she wasn't even looking at her phone, and she was probably drinking. Now, probably she was. When you did get home, there was always this feeling of apprehension. What were you coming home to? And I think that's the most difficult thing for families, because they don't know what they're going to come home to every day. Are you going to come home to a sober person? Are you going to come home to someone who's passed out drunk, or worse? You don't know. In my case, I mean, I had to take the battery out of my wife's car. She had a truck, a BMW X5, and I eventually, I mean, she had had 4 DUIs at one particular point. She kept driving the car. She had a breath court order breathalyzer on the car, and I caught her one day, getting I think at the time, our 14 or 15-year-old son to breathe in it so she could start the car. And he told me about it, and I said, well, that's it. You're not driving anymore, period. And she ended up not driving probably the last 2.5 years of her life, because it just was not allowed. It was too dangerous. It was too dangerous for her and for other people. And to get back to what the experiences was when you're coming home from work and not understanding what you're going to find when you get home, a lot of times she'd just be sitting on the couch, certainly the last couple of years, and she'd be inebriated. Oftentimes it was, 2 or 3 weeks after coming home from a rehabilitation facility, and you'd come home and you'd just go, hi, and she'd have like this look like, she was just expecting the typical response for me, which is, well, how you doing? And you could just tell she'd be like, hi, and you just immediately, you could see it in her eyes, you could feel her energy. Alcohol is a depressant, and my wife was a very bubbly person, and whenever she was not a bubbly, outgoing, kind of happy persona, it was given away fairly quickly, and you could smell it. And a lot of times she'd say, I'd say, have you been drinking today? I mean, it's like asking an obvious question. It'd be no. Oh, no. Why would you ask that? And then one of the pillow cushions, I'd just pull it back, and there'd be a glass of beer there or whatever she was drinking, and she'd just go, she'd just pout. Like, it must have been there from the other day. And I'd picked it up, and it was like, it's still cold. Okay. And I'd just walk away. I mean, sometimes you get to the point where you don't have the energy to really argue. And I think just in general, the most frustrating thing is no matter what you do, no matter what boundaries you create, no matter what walls that you create for that person so that they don't get alcohol. I mean, taking away the battery from her car, it really made no difference. She would find a way, get a friend to bring alcohol over. Where'd she get money? She would get money from selling stuff on eBay. She would order credit cards, or I would take away bank cards. She'd order another one. The Ubers. I mean, she used to sneak out at night. And that was always terrifying. Before in California, you can buy alcohol up until 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they open up at 6. So somewhere between 1 and 6:30, she would go get alcohol, either really early in the morning or late at night after I'd gone to bed. For quite often, I mean, she would hobble on her crutches because she had knee replacements and an ankle surgery, so she was on crutches quite a bit the last few years of her life. And she would sneak out of the house and with crutches go down the street, pick up an Uber so that we couldn't hear a car coming up the street, kind of thing. It was just constant fear, just constant worry, constant concern for her health. And for family members, I mean, it really takes a toll out of you emotionally. It really does, because it's a slow progression. And then you realize, you wake up one day, it's like, how did I get here? How did we get to the point where I'm living in this world of, it's really madness. And no matter what you do, as many rehabs that you go to or outpatient facilities that she goes to, or how many court cases that she's involved with, I mean, none of it makes any difference. And it's sad when someone gets to that point when the disease has that much of a grip on them. And you have to have empathy, I mean, through it all. And you don't want the animosity and the anger to consume you. And you have to be able to put it in perspective. I hope this page helps other family members have the ability to put it in perspective. And at the end of the day, you do have to take care of yourself, and you do have to make yourself a priority as a family member. Otherwise, I mean, you can go down with the ship and you can lose your own mind. So I hope this helps. And again, my wife's memoir is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. It was the story of my wife's 25-year decline with alcohol use disorder. And unfortunately, she passed away actually almost 5 years ago in February. Can't believe it's been that quick. Important book, really from the family perspective. It's really designed to help not just families, recovering alcoholics, and alcoholics themselves, who are active. And just anybody who likes a good story. It's a Shakespeare tragedy. Again, I go live Monday through Friday, right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right on this channel. We also have the Facebook group called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Very good, support group. Join that. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, click the link in the link tree, set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and we do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. The call is free. The course is definitely not. Make sure all the principal people are there before you make a call. Everybody that needs the help needs to be on the call. And again, thanks so much for listening.